This is I Don't Get It. Welcome to us, the Pop Culture Get Off My Lawn cast. This features the open-minded musings of, put it in black ink, two early 50s curmudgeons.
Yep.
Yes.
We're there.
Legally,
we made it.
Indemnibly there.
We're not dead yet.
No, we're not dead yet. Not yet. Each of us stares down the prospect of our entertainment relevance, and we're here to tell the story. And you're going to listen to it, hopefully, if you stick around for the next 43 minutes. I'm your co-host, Bill Scurry of American Caesar Enterprises, which is the innovator of the top knot, that transient fad and hair grooming for which we have received no credit whatsoever.
Is the top knot the same as the man bun? Are they the same thing?
Yeah, I believe so. The top knot, maybe the top knot is what like the samurais would have, but yeah, the man bun is
I think of the top
thing.
knot as a samurai, and the man bun is the tech bro kind of thing.
Yeah, well, we didn't get credit for either thing, the tech bro thing.
Right.
Like the sleeveless gray Patagonia vest.
Right, they might be the same thing.
Yeah.
So until about a year ago, there was this couple that lived in my apartment building, and I would see them around because I didn't even know their names because the woman was always walking this big, beautiful dog, and they had an apartment with a back deck that basically abutted onto like the common courtyard. So I'd see her like walk out there, and I spent a lot of time in the courtyard, walk the dog, and it was a beautiful dog. She was also an attractive woman. And then her partner, the guy, I would see him in the little courtyard at a standing desk there. And he was very typical Bay Area tech bro looking guy.
Standing desk sounds very San Francisco to me.
Well, standing desks are good ideas. I built a standing desk at home. Anyway, he had a magnificent man bun. It was like straight out of like, a brochure. It was just big and perfect. And he always had it. So I referred to her as Dog Lady and Man Bun Man.
That's, they were supporting characters in the New Mutants back in 1988.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure they've moved out. I haven't seen them in a while. In fact,
I
know they've moved out because
yeah.
I walk by that deck all the time, and it's stripped of parts. So I guess no one's moved into that apartment.
That's
anyway,
he lost it all on the man bun. That was the problem.
Man bun. That was what he was doing at that standing desk. He was coming up with AI built man buns.
Yeah, that's it. ChatGPT for man bun. Yeah.
Living in the Bay Area, dude. Every ad is AI. Every ad is AI.
Yeah.
Enough already. Just get it over with. Have the what's the term? The singularity when it takes over and kills us all. The Terminator moment.
We're already there too. I get angry at the top knot. The man bun is exactly that's the exact locus where I have my tonsor. I have no hair in that exact. I am.
Oh, you have a tonsure?
I'm the anti-monitor of the man bun.
You and Man Bun Man are as to the monitor to the anti-monitor.
As to the monitor. Yes, we are two inverse polar opposites from one another. We cancel each other out like battery tips. Yeah.
Those you don't know, a tonsure is like what a monk had, where like it's not a bald spot. It's something you purposely shave.
That is true. The monks would. That was a. I don't know what the point of it was. It was probably something to do with showing your head to God or some bullshit. I have no idea.
The opposite of Jews. They
cover your head exactly, and right. But I am covered. No other God can look at. G-D, Allah, whoever it is, needs to look at my head. I am exposed to the world in the back.
You don't have a tonsure. You have a good head of hair for an early 50s.
The back, I have fucking zip. I have zip all bullshit in the back. Yeah.
Well, you have more hair than me.
I don't know. It's on your chin, at least. I'm distracted.
I have more hair on my chin. That's true.
Yeah, well,
I'm bitter because my dad's 81 and he's just got a beautiful head of hair.
That's true. He's got like that. That Egon. What is it? Egon from the Ghostbusters head of hair. It's like a full. Full.
Well, years ago when you first met him, you said he looked like David Cronenberg, and he does have David Cronenberg's big.
Yeah, he looks like David Cronenberg, and I thought he talked a little bit like Jimmy Caan as well. So he was a strange.
Really, my dad talks like James Caan.
A little bit like James Caan, not exactly, but he sort of was one of those. I thought, in terms of like the guys who these big Jewish guys who were sort of tall, it's a vanishing category of that type. I thought he had something that was Jimmy Caan about him. Yeah,
he never worked for Vito Corleone, but. Listener of ours, Aaron Grunfeld, he and I were joking the other day because we're listening to this great podcast I might have mentioned on the show, History of Rock Music in 500 Songs. And the new episode is about the MC5, Kick Out the Jams, which, a band that emerged in Detroit in the 60s where my father lived. In fact, one of the members kind of discovered, the art scene when he was a student at Wayne State University, which my father was also a student at. And then my dad's a couple years older than these guys. So Aaron was joking that my dad played bass for the MC5, which is
I like it.
Very hard to imagine.
Your dad was the one. He had it like, have you guys thought about saying "kick out the jazz motherfucker"? That was attributed to.
He suggested it. No, Aaron's joke was my dad quit the band because the rest of the band wasn't dedicated enough to fighting Whitey.
All right, I'm gonna pivot, Noah, to our topic.
Let's pivot. This is not the MC5 David Cronenberg my dad's hair cast bun.
The anti-monitor cast. Yeah, we
right anti-monitor. Oh, I got to introduce myself, right?
Yeah, you should definitely do that. Yeah.
Let's
pivot back to the introduction from the introduction.
Right. We talked about my dad. Let's talk about me. I am Noah Tarnow. I'm the founder and the senior quizmaster of the Big Quiz Thing, the Trivia Game Show Spectacular. We made it, Bill. We were in that little moments every year where we are of different ages. You were in your 50s. I was still in my 40s. Now we're in our 50s.
That's such an uncomfortable period, like a conjunction where you sort of feel the heavens are out of register.
Right.
It's a little.
And this is a big one because we were in different decades.
I know. And we had such a good time together in Bermuda a month and a half ago or whatever it was, and to go from that to complete shambles, Noah, astrological
our
shambles,
relationship was,
as we were waiting, just holding with bated breath
I now have to change the subreddit I whine on. I can no longer whine on dating over 40. Now I have to go to dating over 50.
Yeah.
It's a tough life now, Bill.
It is.
Getting older is not easy.
Well, Noah, speaking of the generations and how we just sort of like subtly and invisibly slide between them without any notice that people we're accepted by all the generations, really, if you think about it. So
everyone loves us.
Our topic this week is called the Gen Z stare. Gen Z stare, which sounds sort of like a futurist author who was writing like something in like 1980, some of the first things about cyberspace and or transhumanist implants. Gen Z stare, a book that was published out of San Francisco or something like that. But actually, in reality, this is according to the New York Times writer Nicole Stock, who wrote an influential article about it a couple of weeks back. The Gen Z stare is what many social media users have said is a blank stare that members of younger generations give in situations where a verbal response would be more common to us, those who are older. It has garnered notice in the mainstream media, or the lamestream media. I don't know if you guys ever heard it called that, but I'm going to get my dig in while I'm out here. So in July of 2025, so weirdly enough, we're kind of hitting this right at the iron at its maximum heat level, which we don't usually tend to do. And I'm sure it'll be cooler next week, but we're getting it at the right time. So some TikTok users believe that many members of Gen Z have difficulty with small talk and fundamental social courtesies. It's often described as a blank stare that they give to some when questions are asked. It says on TikTok the stare is most common during customer service interactions. Similarly, servers and bartenders say that their Gen Z customers respond to pleasant questions or pleasant conversation with a long gaze or stare in kind. It is as if they are uninterested in talking, or unable perhaps. I mean, this goes all over the place in terms of how you read this shit. Additionally, some TikTokers say that Gen Z employees do not greet customers or take care of the most basic menial requests. Instead, just give a blank stare upon the entry into business by clients and customers. So for the sake of argument, I mean, I believe Gen Y, or the millennials and parents, is sort of defined as being born from 81 to 96. I always forget this.
I hate this shit.
I know, but we're talking, this is the rubric, and this is what people,
So
Z,
what is Gen Z? Wait, what's the definition of Gen Z?
Okay, Z.
Consensus.
Z is 97 to 2012, is the sort of loose rubrical.
So basically post-college for us.
It is. Also,
if we had knocked up our college girlfriends, we'd be the parents of Gen Z.
Yes, that's the thing. The further complication, until I was like doing some digging, it says that Z are the children of X in the main. We're just going to sort of round it up and say that.
Right.
So Y is millennials. Z is from 97 to 2012.
Right. And now we have Alpha.
Alpha is like the up to teenagers or something.
We're going to start naming them after Asia albums. We're going to have live in Russia will be the next generation.
The next generation is called Live at the Budokan. All right, so Noah, I pitched that this was a suggestion from my wife, who just it wasn't even like trying to suggest it. She was just sending.
No, good suggestion. I've seen this
it was
all over
great.
the place this week.
It was like it's like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, oh, I know what the fuck this is. This is the bullshit we're going to talk about.
I was hanging out with a Gen Zer this week. He had never heard of it, but that's
we're like waste my time. Fuck this shit. We're going to waste your time too, guys. All right, so here, Noah, tell me about the Gen Z stare.
Yeah, I mean, I have not read into this. I do not have that much interaction with Gen Zers, and the Gen Zers I know well, e.g. my nephews, who I saw a fair amount this week, actually are very good at social interaction.
What year
Their
were
friends
they
are
born?
as well.
I forget. What year were they born?
04.
Yeah, they're in the middle of the curve. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, granted, I've said this to many people, maybe not on the show. I'm actually very impressed with that generation, but I will admit that my view of them is skewed because the Gen Zers I know are very privileged kids, educated privileged kids, and I'm impressed with them. But beyond that, I've not seen this. I mean, it's not just that I don't interact with Gen Zers that much. I mean, certainly if it's a customer service thing, I go to coffee shops, I go to all these places where kids work. But I think I'm insulated some because I am very cognizant about being polite to service people. I really, really am not. Every time you hear horror stories about Karens or what's now there's a name they're using as the male equivalent of Karen.
I don't know what it is. I feel like I've heard of it.
It's not Chad. Chad means something else, but I've seen they've adopted some male equivalent of Karen. Anyway, I never ever nasty, except if I'm really rare instances where I frankly think it's justified. And also, look, I'm weird. Like most of the time, I don't like small talk. I'll be polite, but like if a stranger small talks me, probably 2/3 of the time, I just kind of, without being mean, I kind of slough it off. I kind of look away. I kind of nod. I kind of say a one word thing. And, maybe some people think I'm like that, but most of the time, I don't want to talk to strangers. I mean, one trait I seem to have with young people is I hate talking on the phone. I love texting, right? It's not that I'm unable to do these things because there are times I very much like small talk. I just don't enjoy it. And there are very notable exceptions. There are times where I make a real effort to connect with randos, service people. And in those times, I haven't seen the Gen Z stare. I do events I did 2 events this week for interns at a tech company. And, these are Gen Zers, and they weren't my most enthusiastic crowds. But so those of you who don't know, I do live quiz shows, team building kind of stuff. And, part of the whole point of my thing is to get people out of their shells. And I'm able to do it. I don't see the blank stare. I don't see the staring at me like, what's next? I see interaction. I see humor. I see fun. Yeah, I mean, they're a little more bottled up than a lot of people, but some of this is also they're tech people, right? So, most of the time when I am entertaining kids that young, they're at tech companies. So that happens. I also think of a story that happened last week is that I went to my local Phil's coffee shop here. Phil's is a San Francisco area chain. It's great. I love it. And the woman taking my order, who was probably under 25, was wearing a Gary Newman t-shirt. Bill, do you like Gary Newman?
Yeah, I think so. Are friends electric is the question I always ask myself.
It's a very important question. Anyway, I like Gary Newman, but my favorite Gary Newman work is his pre-solo band, Two-Way Army. And their first album just called Two-Way Army. Do you know that album?
Only because you told me about it, but I'm not really familiar with it.
It's great. You should listen to it. I think you'd like it. I think it's right. We were talking before the mics went hot about that kind of era of music, and you mentioned the Buggles. And I think, if you like the Buggles, like Gary Newman. So her shirt was basically a variant of the cover of the Two-Way Army album, which is this kind of abstract drawing of Gary Newman's face. So, it's surprising. This album's from 1978 or something. So I said, oh, hey, do you know that album? And she's like, well, I like Gary Newman. She saw him in concert recently. So I had this great conversation with this probably Gen Zer about freaking Gary Newman for 5 minutes. And I do that when I see kids wearing band shirts. I'm like, you don't know this band. You're not allowed to. I'm just genuinely interested if they know the band and like them. And if they say to me they don't, I had a conversation about the Rolling Stones with my 12-year-old niece because she has a Rolling Stones shirt her dad gave her. She doesn't know the Rolling Stones, but I encourage her to listen to them. I don't have a problem with kids wearing t-shirts of bands they don't know. Anyway, I had a great conversation. This kid did not seem maladroit at all. So yeah, this is just, one example, but I think of others, or I gave 2 examples, where I don't run into these kids staring at me like they're from another planet. So I watch these TikTok videos where they talk about Gen Z stare. And while I don't like these videos because they have that kind of, social media video grammar that annoys me, the kids always talk with this, that sounds like a sense of entitlement, and they seem to be calling everyone else an asshole. I am inclined to side with the Gen Zers here, the people who are saying, because in these videos, the vibe I'm getting is people saying that like Gen Z stare isn't a real thing. I'm just reacting rationally to you being rude. There was one that New York Times linked to, that young African-American woman who was saying like, we're not maladroit. You're an asshole. You're a Karen, etc.
That was a good one. Yeah. I like
right.
That.
So I really have to wonder if this is an appreciable problem, or is it just moralistic complaining and entitlement from the older generation, a trickle-down effect of boomers making fools of themselves, right? That said, if it is real, if kids are, disassociating, having trouble with small talk, having trouble connecting people, and it is happening despite being polite, it is happening to people who aren't being rude, it is, short-circuiting genuine, the social glue that is reasonable, and in fact, what I like, encouraging small talk. It does piss me off because I'm a big believer in good service. I'm a big believer of you do your job. And I know I get it. A lot of service jobs suck and you can't really blame people for not having a gung-ho attitude about it. But, don't piss on me, right? I'm a huge believer in good service. Even if your job is shitty, I'm not the one making it shitty. 99% of the times it's not me. Might be other customers. It's not me. So don't take it out on me. I despise paying for a service I don't receive. So there is potential for me to hate this if I run into it, if I feel like I'm doing my part, you're being a dickhead to me. But again, I'm not seeing that. So I don't know. I think this might be mostly a bullshit phenomenon.
I think that's fair, a lot of what you're describing there. And yeah, so much of what this contention is about sort of surrounds the workforce, in specific, the menial customer-facing workforce, of which I believe of the 2 of us, I probably have a little more experience with on account of having had a register jockey job back through college.
I mean, I did that briefly for a few years, but
yeah, that was
the 90s. It was a different time.
That was my Kevin Smith roots. That's I was really in that shitty lane for a while. So many of the articles that I have read and the comments that I flipped through took great pains to emphasize the principle of the customer's always right. Especially the New York Times article. I
don't believe the customer's always right. No, I think that's enough.
Right,
and of course the root of that didn't even say that.
But all the times commenters, and again, I wanted to say, knowing full well that chances are someone who's reading, if it's a Times reader, it's a subscriber, and they probably look more like me and are my age rather than the age that is
10 years older than you now.
Yeah, sorry, at least that. So I'm saying the people were sort of saying it's like, you don't have a choice. You're not allowed to give the stare because the customer's always right. So like this blank affect from younger laborers, it's like, to them, it's an immediate demerit on the entire generation's capacity to work, as it has been judged by people who are sort of the commentariat class. Here's the thing. I think I need to agree with that woman you mentioned, who was saying that it's not something facetious. Her name was F.A. Awaregba. She goes by the This Is Janae handle on TikTok. She's the one that made the video you're talking about. Yeah, she had strange...
Yeah. And she comes across as an asshole, by the way. Like when I say that grammar of TikTok that I hate.
Yeah.
But even though she comes across as an asshole, I take her side.
Yeah, I mean, but I think she made some really good points. She gave a spirited...
Yeah, she does.
She gave a spirited defense, which she cited the dullness of the gigs that they're talking about, the level of stupidity, honestly, this resounded with me, that clerks and counter people have to face at this job on a daily basis, that you're clearly paid menial minimum wage, which again is like on a 1990s level minimum wage for the kind of stupidity you have to deal with. So look, speaking as a person,
got more tax cuts for billionaires, because
as a guy,
how are you going to afford your second yacht?
As a victim of this workforce, a victim of this type of job, I was curdled, and crisped by 3 years of service work in a convenience store. I think that our Waragba is absolutely right. Like you, I side with the people who are the givers of the stares rather than the people who are grousing about this blank affect they're receiving without sort of taking any responsibility for it. The customer is not always right. I will absolutely go down by that. And again, I am the customer now. I'm not the worker, I'm the customer. And the customer is frequently a loathsome fucking dullard. And I look to the left and right when I go into any retail environment now, and I realize you guys are fucking it up. Like it's happening now. It's happening right now. Leave your house, go outside, and you'll find us, the customer, fucking it up. We're not right. We're idiots. So I think that Gen Z is kind of just, again, this is a generalization about this. I think they're more in touch with their despisal on account of maybe not having the filters and the editors, the interlocutors that previous generations had bred into them by stern parenting.
Gen Z just does the Gen Z stare. They don't know how to talk to people. Fair. A lot of Gen Z don't know how to talk to people. But a lot of older generations talk too much, too rudely, and too proudly while being too stupid. I cannot tell you. You have to work in the food industry to fully grasp how stupid people can be.
Assuming this is real, why is it happening? And if it's not real or it's a minimal thing, why is the media alighting upon it this week? And as I said, I've seen it in many places.
Noah, is any of this real? Is any of this really happening right now, honestly? The question is, why is it popular to engage in? I believe that would be because, again, if you're the doer of it, why is it popular to issue it? Because it's a fast and cheap way to signal discontent with an idiot in front of you in, I would say, a fairly risk-free scenario. And the thing is, who doesn't want that? It's almost like Woody Allen online pulling Marshall McLuhan out in Annie Hall just to dress some blowhard, some gas bag behind him. This is sort of an instant correction, instant remedy. But if the question, though, is why are all the media outlets, and there were, surprisingly, I saw many, many, many more sort of trend pieces and hot than some of our usual obscure topics. I mean, again, if this is an obscure topic, which I would say it is, because it's not, there was a lot of people writing about it all over the place, and from the dailies to the Today shows to CNNs, and like this is something that for some reason people wanted to get on the bottom. So it was being written about, it was being kind of analyzed for the moment. They're all alighting on this. They're pointing out that this is going on because the thing is that I believe we love to point out the shortcomings of successive generations. And a bigger point.
Shit goes back probably to the caveman.
It does. And maybe I just sort of have the sensitivity. I think the Z kids are kind of taking it worse right now. I mean, they're just sort of like, I don't fucking know why. Maybe it just seems worse. It's the thing is, it's like of all the brickbats people love to hurl at them, right? They're helicopter parented. They're too sensitive. They're all non-binary. They're all ADHD, blah, 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 blah. Everything that you can possibly say makes this a fucking stunted generation of weaklings who were not prepared to deal with the future, who are, constantly talk about being silenced or, being excluded or being triggered or, any of this stuff that calls into question their basic fitness as human beings and their ability to just, I think this is part of it. I think this winds up being another sort of chit that you could use to say these are a bunch of fucking weaklings. And like you said, exactly, you could have said that this was at the advent of the teenager in the late 1950s when the American middle class was sort of being invented and codified. Yeah, that was the first time these kids were weak because they weren't working in coal mines or copper smelting factories, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, as if the boomers were working in coal mines and copper smelting factories. I mean, my why is more, if it's happening, why is it happening? There's a good quote in that New York Times article that I thought, summed it up. I'll give credit. It was from Jean Twenge, the author of Generations, the real differences between Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, boomers, and silence, and what they mean for America's future. What a title. Huh? What an AI created title of a...
It's so long. The book has two covers.
Right. Pop social studies book that you pick up in the airport because you want to be smart. Whatever. It might be a great book. So her quote is, it could be Jean, but I'm guessing her. Social skills take thousands and thousands of hours to develop, and adolescence is a critical period for developing social skills, Dr. Twenge said. And Gen Z has spent much less time with their peers in person during that critical stage. I mean, I feel like there's no denying that. I can believe, despite my, saying I'm not seeing this, I can easily believe there's a lack of facility with interpersonal relations due to the new and perhaps less healthy method of socialization that this generation has grown up with. Yes, there was COVID that did immeasurable damage, but I think it pales in comparison to the radical effect that the internet and social media have had on human interaction. You forget Gen
You have
Z.
to hack the Ys then too. Generation Y, the millennials, they were fucking.
Well,
born
but
into the internet.
all the boomers, living on Facebook and voting for the worst person in the world.
I think it's true, but we merely adopted the dark. No, it is that they adopted it. We were born to it, molded by it.
We were born in the dark. Well, we weren't, but they were. We were. Our young adulthoods were in the dark. Gen Z was born in the dark. Millennials were raised in the dark. So, I mean, social interaction is at the root of everything. And, every element of social interaction, whether it's online dating or virtual gaming or texting rather than using the telephone, screens and algorithms have served as intermediaries between this age cohort and everyone else in the world from their earliest years. Yes, they were born in it. And if it means that traditional, IRL interactions are somewhat foreign to them, that's hardly surprising. So whether it's a blank, obnoxious stare or just a different, perhaps better, and I'll get to this later, method of interacting with people, I think it's very clearly not 90%, yes, COVID, but to a large extent, just that they see the world through glowing rectangles.
The Gen Z stare. Hi, I'm Maddie. I'll be your server today. Can I get you guys anything? No, but can I do a strawberry banana smoothie? Yeah, I can do that. Anything else for you guys? No, but does the strawberry banana smoothie have banana in it?
Noah, would you have liked the Gen Z stare as a kid, either as a doer or a receiver of it?
Well, again, assuming it's real, I think so. Like I said, most of the time, not overwhelmingly most, but probably wins in a two-party election. I avoid small talk. I avoid talking to strangers just because that's how my anxiety manifests itself. So if I were young and raised on the wire in the series of tubes, I think I would really feel this. I mean, those times my anxiety takes over and someone tries being friendly to me, I become very quiet and avoid talking. And I can imagine some people feel I'm giving them a version of a Gen Z stare, that I'm being rude, that I'm being, maladroit. I mean, I don't stare at the people. I mean, I kind of want to avoid them. For me, it's more a nod and try to escape the immediate area. But yeah, I mean, I see versions of this, not necessarily anxiety, but inability to relate the way that many people expect. I see that in myself. And if I were part of this age cohort, it only stands to reason it would dominate me, more thoroughly.
If we're talking about doing it, yes, I did do it. It was, I absolutely understood, I had a kinship with this topic upon opening the first bits of research I did, and I understood it implicitly. Here's the thing, I loved it. I needed it. It had nothing to do with introversion, extroversion, any of that stuff. It was simply a matter of, I think, survival in this stupid crucible of mine from that early age. And again, 18 through 21 at that age. This was my own form of passive aggression towards the idiots, who drove to Dairy Barn store 406 on Portia Road in Farmingville, New York. They acted like they
were with the boss who hated Chinese music, right?
Everything was Chinese music, yeah.
Yeah.
Even the Goo Goo Dolls was Chinese music.
Yeah, he thought, this is the joke, Bill's boss thought all rock and roll. He called it Chinese music.
He called it Chinese music. It was such a, I don't know where that term comes from. Yeah. Because it wasn't Tommy Dorsey, I guess, is really what it has to do with. I have no fucking clue. But look, everybody who drove, it was a drive-in convenience store, right? And those fucking people, they came up with like they were plenipotentates or they were fucking pashas behind the wheels of their suburban land yachts. And they were just fucking dumb. They were they were short-sighted. They were ill-tempered. I really got this strange impression that they were trying to diminish my ego. I think it was a fucking game that, a lot of people who face service employees on the customer side, what they rarely do is endow that other person, the clerk in this case. And I was the clerk. And again, a lot of the people who were talking about this are clerks. I feel like they rarely endow those people with any humanity. And I mean, it's like this, what you're seeing in front of you, what you hear, this result, the leftovers of me, this sort of shavings, the pencil shavings, the charred embers, whatever that's left of me is the resultant proof of that practice.
I have an example that happened in real time. If your For You page looks different than mine, we're talking about the Gen Z stare, where people in the service industry of a certain age don't even say hello to you. They stare at you. Why did I go in to pick up my order at Chipotle and the girl turns her head and just stares at me.
Is the rise of the Gen Z stare or the media obsession with the Gen Z stare in any way a sign of the apocalypse?
Well, no, I think I was able to kind of like round this up, essentially. This, to me, Reddit is very familiar. This is just kind of simple passive aggression by another name. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that the shitty service has been a constant concept with us since Pharaoh Akhenaten opened the first pigeon burger drive-thru in Luxor back in 2500 BCE, Noah.
So how is this the apocalypse? I don't understand.
No, it's not. This is not.
It's not because this has happened forever. Is what you're
correct.
saying.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Look, I'm sure people say this is a sign of the apocalypse. If we can't interact with one another, we're all just going to like rot in our own filth. Like, these what's the term for these guys? These completely socially inept Japanese guys who just sit on their computers all day and their mother slides food under the door of their bedroom.
Yeah, they have like fuck pillows or something like that.
Yeah, there was a good chapter about that in World War Z. Anyway, if that's the whole world, we're screwed. But if at all it is the end of bullshit small talk, we might be better off. And if it's standing up to bad service, demanding respect, saying, the people at your convenience store who didn't treat you like a human being, if the kids who have that job now are demanding being treated like a human being, this is the opposite of the apocalypse. This harkens me back to a former topic, anti-work, right? If people are finally saying, I will not be a cog in your machine, I demand respect, I demand...
This was cross-relational with that in a bunch of articles. I think they did cite anti-work.
I'm sure. God forbid I demand a living wage, right? I demand respect in the workplace. But if it is a service apocalypse, if we really can't get served, and if I'm going to start to feel this despite my politeness, we are in trouble. How will anything get done? How will people be anything but lonely and isolated and angry and bitter? And yes, if we are all just drowning in our own filth until our mother stops, shoving the food under our door while we're playing World of Warcraft or whatever League of Legends or whatever they play now. That might be the apocalypse. But again, I'm not seeing it.
It's the phenomenon rattling millennials.
I just had my first experience with the Gen Z stare.
And putting Gen Z on the defensive.
Most of the time, it's us trying to figure out if you're being for real or not.
Noah, let's pivot to the end of the show and talk about our final two topics. Is there anything about this that filled you with envy?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm glad I wasn't... we say this all the time, people our age, like there, but for the grace of God that, the internet wasn't around when we were little kids. I'm very happy about that. I know one guy who's like, I'm jealous of them. Why? Like, because they have so much access to porn. And I'm like, yeah, because that makes you happier. I'm glad I wasn't socialized that way and I'm able to relate to people, at least when I need to or when I want to. And I guess I'm also glad that when I don't want to, it's not a creepy stare. And I'm glad that I don't see this. I'm glad that the Gen Zers I interact with seem, at worst neutral and at best, we talk about Gary Newman.
Being able to talk about Gary Newman is a win-win, I think, with a stranger.
Anytime you talk about that first album, Two Boy Army, is quite good. It's one of these albums you listen to and you're like, this is different from anything I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And it's good stuff. I recommend it.
You got Rich Young. That's early on. I would say, yes, I am envious of this phenomenon. I think this is a way quietly to be shitty. It's part of a vocabulary, a larger kind of vocabulary, grammar, as you said about some other topic earlier in the show. I think that this Gen Z stare or the kind of bulwark of reactions, this sort of physicality like it puts the onus on the person you're talking to. It leaves them with quizzical feelings. Did I say something wrong? Am I the asshole? Right?
Yeah.
That
was another TikTok that was linked from the New York Times article was a mom saying like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, I feel like Joe Jerkoff, as Moltisanti said. So I think it's delicious. It's like, here's the thing. I'm too much of an eye contact extrovert. I'm too in the moment. I'm too comfortable. So the thing is, it's like I'm not capable of sort of skipping through the conventions of interpersonal relationships. The idea of like being quiet and staring at somebody and having that be my message, I just don't work that way. I'm not wired that way. So I'm a little jealous that you can sort of do a lot more with an enigmatic stare, as opposed to me talking myself in and out of stupid problems with, either jokes I try to make that don't work, or saying something that's overly familiar with somebody and having to work my way out of it, that kind of thing. What about the scale, Noah? Let's go to the scales. The scales of justice.
The Fallopian scale?
The fallopian scale, yes.
Fallopian scale. Well, there's a lot of, I mean, we mentioned some past topics, and I think this overlaps with a lot. So here's what I came up with. Take raw dogging, right? Raw dogging flights. And we need to say flights. Raw dogging flights, which I have seen people do.
You do need to see flights, yes.
Yeah. Plus 1/8 of brain rot, right? Plus a soupçon of OK Boomer and a dash of anti-work.
What do you call the little wiggly line on the C in soupçon? What is that? That is called a accent. No, it's not the agu.
No, not a circumflex. A circumflex is like the carrot-looking thing. It's called a sedilla, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe. Let me wait. Hang on. To Google. Sedilla.
Any word that has
a sedilla, yes. A sedilla is the little squiggly line underneath.
Any line that has a silent P and sort of like the little squiggly C. That's my kind of word. I want to live in that. I want to live in that space.
You want to live. You want words. You're going to change your name to
Bilpson.
Bills with a silent P at the beginning. So PBILLC
with a sedilla. Yeah.
Sedilla. Yeah.
Can I have a circumflex over the I in Bill? Can I get that?
Yeah, I don't know how that changes the pronunciation, though.
Can I add an umlaut O, perhaps, somewhere along the
way? I want an umlaut over every letter.
Boil.
There was some band once called Unnecessary Umlaut, and I think they had umlauts over every letter. It might have been a joke band. I don't know. I don't remember.
I would rank this with Nathan Fielder. No, let's talk about blank stares and talk about weird balking interpersonal shit. Here's the thing. Fielder was very bulky. He was hard to read. It looks like for a guy, I mean, I think Fielder, he's not quite I think Fielder, what you'd call a millennial. I think he's sort of just 10 years younger than us, maybe something like that. But there's something weird, off-putting. I can't quite read it, but there's also something sort of brilliant about what the guy does. Again, that I'm really elevating the Gen Z stare to the Nathan Fielder is preeminent in his field amongst weird people, but that's the best I can do on short notice. I'm just running a podcast here. That's all I can do.
That's all we
do. I'm just
can't even say the word podcast.
I can't even say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's
all right. That's it.
That's it. No, I have nothing else to give. So you want to find past episodes, look on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, and YouTube. Skeet to us at noandbillshow.bsky.social. Write to us the old-fashioned way. Put a piece of paper in your disk drive and send it to @noahandbilldon'tgetit@gmail.com. Put proper postage or else it won't get to us. Give us a review in the aggregators because that generates heat. And my God, we live off of heat. Don't have anything that you can't walk away from your life in 30 seconds if you feel heat on the plate. I am on social media at Bill Scurry on all the socials, bsky.social, William Scurry on Twitter, youtube.com/amcaesar where you'll find video stuff, including this podcast feed. Again, nobody cares that it's there, but it is there. And Noah, where could the good people find where you are?
I'm all about the Big Quiz Thing. Go to bigquizthing.com, America's premier providers of custom, corporate, and private live trivia events. We got a busy July, less busy August, but that's always the way August goes. And we're making some moves. Stuff's happening. Nothing to report right now. You can see me on Instagram, the Noah Tarnow. And I am on Blue Sky, but not really. bigquizthing.com is really what I care about.
All right, everybody. So until the next episode, where we're discussing the silent generation's famous hip swivel,
we don't get it.
A production of American Caesar Enterprises 2025.